Welcome to Inside the Artist Studio, where we have inspiring conversations with people who create. Hello, everyone. I'm Beverly Todd from Santa Fe Artist Getaway, and our guest today is Vicki Marsango, who is coming from her studio gallery in Jensen Beach, Florida. Welcome, Vicki.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be in your studio. I know you've opened it this past year during the pandemic, and behind you is some of your newest work. Tell us what you've been creating this past year.
Well, I've been doing a lot of online classes because of the pandemic. So I start out with a lot of demos, and I start with my mark making and, that process, and, throwing paint on there, teaching how to mix colors and things like that. And before I know it, and there's also compositional elements too that we talk about. And before I know it, I got a painting started. So then I need to go back later on and get it all finished and, sit and look at it. And so, but these here are, all of them were started except for the real big one back here. I know I've got a big stack of them in here, but there's a real big one here that I did at Atlantic Center for the Arts when I did a residency there. But most of them that are 48 by 48s are things that I start in class. Although I do start a few, I've got one up on the wall back there that I started in at the ACA, but I also have some big rolled canvases that I start as a demo so they can see better. So it's a big rolled canvas. But it takes a while to get them all finished.
It is. And what's been inspiring you this past year? I follow you online and love the new collection and where the work is going. Have you found different inspiration?
Yes, I'm very inspired by the ocean because I'm in Jensen Beach, and people. I work with interior designers. They install my work, so I've been doing a lot of blues since I moved here, and I love mixing blues anyway. But so I'm really inspired by the ocean, and also landscapes and things like that, where you just have a vague impression of a landscape. It's there's a fine line between representational and non-objective. They're representational and non-representational because it still can represent something even though it doesn't look like something that you can recognize.
And I'm in love with abstract art. How do you explain your art or share your art with somebody maybe who isn't familiar with abstract expressionism?
Well, that's very difficult because they try to pick out little incidentals. They want to see something in it. They want to see a face, or they want to see a landscape, or a house, or just something that they can identify with. And that's actually a reflection of themselves in a way. But they want to try to understand it. And I try to get that across to them. I've had people come in my studio that are friends of my parents because my parents don't understand art. I don't know how I got my parents, but anyway, I love them dearly, but they don't get it. But they bring their friends, to visit my studio, and they want to understand it. And it's just, that's not what it's about. It's whatever you want to interpret. Mm-hmm. So everybody has a different experience.
Exactly. I find the same thing, and I explain it as listening to music without words. If you listen to a jazz song, it's either happy or sad, or if you listen to a ballad or a melody, you can feel it. So that's how I explain my abstract art. It is music without words. There's melodies, there's high notes, there's low notes, there's a staccato, there's a bass tone. So I think that kind of helps. If they can get an emotion and an energy out of that, they can see that in the art sometimes. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Like when I teach about Joan Mitchell, we do a lot of exercises and assignments, and not only online, but in the workshops. And so I do refer to Joan Mitchell's work a lot. And I do notice that a lot of, the expressionists back in the day, they were just painting like emotions and things. It wasn't supposed to represent anything. But like her Sunflower series and different her dog went swimming at the water hole or something like that. It does represent something. And whether she put the title on it afterwards or during or whatever, it really doesn't matter. And it just, I don't know where I'm going with that, Beverly. Forget it. edit, cut.
There are women, there's several of those women artists, Joan Mitchell, and then the 9th Street women artists like Helen Frankenthaler, Grace Hardigan, Elaine de Kooning. Those are some of the early abstract expressionist artists that I look to for inspiration and guiding, and how did they really begin their painting process, and what were they sharing? And it's fascinating when you go back and study those. And it's wonderful that you include that in your art workshop.
Well, the reason why I do that is because I want to teach, and even the advanced painters, to remind them about the elements of art with composition and basic elements of art, color mixing and things like that. And everybody has their own formulas, but when you learn about other artists, you can emulate some of their characteristics that you like. It's not about copying at all. And I can't copy if my life depended on it. I could not be one of those.
My own
I can't, even if I try. Exactly. But when you take those artists for inspiration and emulate something about their work in your work that you like, you can make your own language out of it. And it might not look anything like, that's the idea, not that it looks anything like theirs, but to learn like Joan Mitchell's brushwork or her colors or just the drips and things like that, but not to make a painting that looks like a Joan Mitchell, because then you just look like you're doing a knockoff of it, so you don't want that. So
yeah, I'm like you. I can't even copy my own work. If somebody says, I'd like a painting just like that, but in a different size, I'm like, yeah, I can't do it. Sorry.
No.
It happens. Every piece of art is fresh and new. And even though you might be repeating marks or using the same color palette, they're always going to look different.
They are. Mm-hmm. And what I find is I get attached to the rawness of the very beginning of the painting.
Yes.
And that's very difficult for me. And I tell all my students this too, but you have to keep pushing forward, because you know it when you know it's not done, you just got to keep pushing forward. But you get afraid of wrecking it or whatever, because you've got something but you just got to get over it, because sometimes when you do wreck it up by accident, those sometimes become the most favorite areas.
Exactly. I agree. If you push, and you've got to risk losing it. And I've got a lot of ugly paintings back in the corner that I pushed too far, and I lost what I thought was beautiful. But eventually pull those back out, rework them. You're still going to have the layers of story underneath, and a little bit of magic happens eventually.
Yes. And then sometimes I will think that I've totally ruined a painting and I don't like it and I don't think it's going anywhere. And if I do roll it up or throw it in a corner for a while and bring it back out, I think, well, what's wrong with this? I like this. And I might tweak a little something here and there, and I feel like I'm done. So it's good to walk away from them for a while.
One of the things that I share with people and teach a lot is the power to truly see your art. I think sometimes when we're making it, we're so much in the moment. If we can step back, give it some space or time, physical distance, get 10 or 15 feet away and just look at it. Don't love it or hate it, just look at it and see what's going on. And if you have that ability to look and analyze, you're going to be a better artist.
What was I going to say? Cut. I lost my train of thought.
Well, because
I know what it was. Okay, ready?
Yes.
I find that if I take a photo of it, I might think I'm done with it. And if I take a photo of it and then, crop it and look at it like I'm going to post it, you want to post it as soon as you can. But I'll look at it on the camera and I think, oh no, I can't have this, because I'll see some weird incidental in there, or the composition just isn't working, or, that's a little aggravating. But it's good to take photos, not only to walk away, but also to take a photo of it because it looks totally different.
You're right. I use that a lot. I'll take a photo throughout phases to see how it's going. And then also you can push it into black and white to see if your values are there.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, that phone's a very handy, neat, quick tool.
It really is. And then I sometimes do the markup too. So I can scribble on there, like areas, if I want to block something out, I can scribble on there too and see what I need to do. But it's really hard to, copy that and try to make it work on your painting. It doesn't always work, but it just gives you ideas. So
it's a tool. It's a good tool.
Yes, a very good tool.
So Vicki, we're in our studio. Could you give us a little tour and show us what it looks like and tell us about your space? And this you opened up this past year, I'm going to say in the past 6 months or so?
Yes, it was actually September when I actually got moved in, and I'm still doing some different remodeling. I'm redoing the bathroom because I need a big sink to put my buckets underneath there. It has this little sink, so I'm working on getting my bathroom remodeled, but I'm not going to show you that. Okay. And I will say that I've got the front area set up. It's not like a gallery. It's more of a gallery for interior designers to come in and pick out things and see what I have. So the front space that I'm going to show you is the neat space, but it's got all these paintings stacked up. And then it's not a huge space. And then the back area is where I have all my starts and where I paint, where I do my online classes and have all my supplies and everything. So I will show you.
We're excited to see this.
Okay, so here is the front door, and my friend's helping me get my signage on there. And so let's see, I got to turn it this way. Okay, so I'm going to get new track lights, working on that. And so here's one wall over here, which has a bunch of stacked paintings. I can't tell if you can see those.
We do see those.
Okay, because it's got a glare on the screen, so I can't tell what you're looking at.
It looks great. I see peaks of color here. I'm like, oh, I'd love to see that full painting back there.
Oh yeah, well, I'd be all day. These need to find a home.
They do. So if anybody sees any paintings they like here at Peaky, we can always get hold of Vicki later. She'll show you.
Okay. Yeah, I can send them some photos.
Yeah.
But most of these are, on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And then I was sitting on this side over here. Those are the paintings that you were looking at from behind.
We have an area that you can stage and place things on the wall and give the interior decorators or the collector some space around it to really get the presence of the art.
Yes, right now I'm just getting ready to take some things to a gallery in Jacksonville. So that's why I got them all out like this. But a lot of times I'll have all these stacked up in the back, and then it'll just be one painting, on the wall. But if I had a warehouse, I still wouldn't have enough room for all the things I like to do. Because some of these,
we never have enough room, do we?
No, because some of these are quite big. This is like 70 by 70 over here. Okay, so, and here's my storage cabinet, and I haven't cleaned it out, but this is a mess. I love this cabinet. I mean, I have so much stuff in there. I probably should have cleaned it out. And it's just one of those tool cabinets. And then I've got some more paintings stacked up over here. There's about 10 paintings right here. And then I'm going to turn it this way. The light, I get a lot of natural light in here.
I can see that. That's beautiful light coming in the front.
So here's my, I've got a stainless steel table here. Okay. If you can see those containers underneath.
Tubs.
So I've got tarps and plastic and things like that in there. So it's got rollers on it so I can move it around. And then here's my paint wall. And this was a painting that I started at the ACA. It's huge. And it's a little different than what I normally do. So that's my next one that I want to work on.
It's a wonderful start. So, so how do you usually start a painting? Do you start with lines and marks and then start building layers?
Yes, I start with this kind of mark making, with different mark making media. And then sometimes I add inks, sometimes I add acrylic paint, graphite. I learned the graphite from Krista, and I was just amazed how much I loved the powdered graphite. That's, I usually start out with mark making, but the shapes of these marks are different than what I normally do. And I started this at the Atlantic Center for the Arts, and I was inspired by the negative space of the trees. And I do teach a lot about contour drawing and things like that. So that's kind of what this one's about. And then over here, I've got some things stacked up. These are things, well, that one's framed, it's ready to go. But there's a couple behind there. Can you see it?
Yes. Back in the corner though, I noticed your metal trash cans holding your rolled canvas. That's genius. It's genius. I need to do that. Because you get so many rolled, and if you lay them flat, they're going to get smashed. And sometimes you have enough tubes to roll them in for support, but then other times, they just flop around. So this keeps everything in the bins before. So all those need either tweaked or stretched or something, So I do have some that are all ready to go over on the other side of the room. But these, they just might need a little tweak here and there, or just maybe some varnish or something like that, or stretched. All of them actually need stretched. But that's why I put them in there like that, because I got tired of fighting them. That's a great idea.
So I have a hardware store just down the street. I could actually walk there. And well, of course, when you pick up something like that, you got to drive. But it's just right down the street. So they happen to have those. So I thought I would use them for that reason.
So the hardware store is one of my favorite places to shop for art supplies. Tools, trash cans.
Yes.
It's really loose.
So, and then I've got all these canvases right here that need something. And I want to show you this. This is the mixed media work. It's really textured. And I was inspired by this door at the Atlantic Center for the Arts. And I do teach mixed media work as well. Maybe not at your workshop, but maybe a second workshop. But it's very, very textured. And so that's what these are all about here.
What's your medium? Are you using Encaustics, cold wax, and oil?
No, those are not encaustic. It's all water-based products. I used to use a lot of oil on them. What?
I said maybe from the hardware store. You can get spackling and caulking and stuff from the hardware store that will actually add some texture like that too.
Yes, and sand. A lot of these have sand in them. This was one that I started as a demo, and then the hard part of doing these is how do you finish them off? The easy part is getting them textured, but how do you put color on there and have it look like it works and not like a real crafty looking piece? So anyway, so that's my, I've got a lot of unfinished things in here that need to be done.
Well, I think that's just the nature of being the artist. We have so many ideas and get so excited to start something that I often jump from one to the next, then have to circle back eventually and start finishing up some of the early starts. But Vicki, thanks for the tour. That's amazing. It's so exciting to see your creative space and what you're working on and all the color and energy.
Well, thank you. And then I've got a couple tables together that I use for working flat. A lot of times I like to pull things off the wall and lay them flat and work on them that way.
Yeah. So thanks for that great tour. So I know everyone watching this saw a lot of great inspiration, and you're going to want to learn how Vickie does all of this. And the good news is she will be here in Santa Fe teaching a workshop in July 16th, 17th, and 18th called Expressive Explorations. So it's Abstract Expressionists. And Vickie, tell us a little more about what you'll be sharing in that workshop.
Well, what I will be doing is I will be having some handouts, but I'll be doing some demonstrations on my process. And I'm not wanting people to paint like me necessarily, but it's good to learn different techniques from different artists, and learning some brushes and some products and things like that that I have learned to use. They will learn some color mixing. They might learn a little art history, and use examples from other artists, and then emulate in their own language inspiration from those artists if they like a certain characteristic from the artist that I'm demonstrating about. I would really like to teach, and it's hard to teach this, but I guess the emphasis would be finding a balance between being knowledgeable about basic elements of art and, the knowledge about techniques and things like that, but finding a balance between that and being totally creative, really expressing yourself from your language. And when I get in the zone and I'm not thinking about all the knowledge, it's there, it's in the back of my mind, but it comes naturally because I've done it so much. I don't have to think about composition or anything unless I'm analyzing something.
Right.
But when I'm in the process, the best work that I do is when I'm totally being creative. But it's still very important to know the basic elements of art and techniques and things like that. So that's what I really emphasize in my workshops.
Great to help people get in that flow, in that zone you talked about. I think it's a little bit like learning how to ride a bike. When you first learn how, you're thinking all the time, balance, pedal, don't run into the tree. Eventually you get the point where you don't have to think about the mechanics, you can just ride the bike.
Right, exactly. That's a good analogy there. Yes.
It is. And the other thing about Vickie's workshop is you will be painting big. We have painting walls here at Santa Fe Artist Getaway. So on rolls of canvas that you can roll up and take back home with you. And I really think abstract expressionist art needs to be body size. You stand up in front of it, you paint, you can walk into it. So that will be a fun feature here that you'll be working really big with Vickie.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. I've been to Santa Fe before for an encaustic workshop years ago, and I loved the area. So, it would be nice to go out to dinner, and that kind of thing afterwards. And there's going to be some really great artists that have already enrolled that we learn from each other too.
Network. You leave the workshop with a new network of art friends. And if you're coming to this workshop or anytime to Santa Fe to any workshop, book a couple days on either end, because this is a mecca for artists. It's the third largest art market behind LA and New York. So Canyon Road has 100-some galleries and shops. There is art all across the city. So you really need to soak up the creative spirit here also when you're in Santa Fe.
What do you think the weather will be like?
Let's see, in July, it will be warm during the day, but because we're at altitude, we're at 7,300 feet, we're in the mountains, the foothills. So it cools off quickly at night. So it's actually beautiful weather. You warm up and then you cool off, and it's perfect for sitting around the campfire, cocktails at 5 o'clock.
Yay. Well, how far are you from town?
Santa Fe Artist Getaway is 8 miles from town, so it's about an 8-minute drive. We're right off the interstate, and actually right off Old Highway 66. A bit of trivia.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, so you're going to be on a section of Route 66. Very cool. Yeah.
Well, I'm ready to. I love where I'm at here in Jensen Beach, but with being haven't been able to travel, I am so ready to get away to Santa Fe.
And I find wherever you are, whether it's the beach, the ocean, the mountains, the forest, your setting, the nature, the colors, you can't help but be inspired by those. And there definitely is unique scenery, unique nature here that is just awe-inspiring.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to it, Beverly. This will be so fun.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested for more information, you can go to santafeartistgetaway.com. There's a tab up in the top that says workshop. Click on that and you'll see a full listing by calendar date, and Vickie's workshop is on there in July, starting July 16th. So we're so excited for that. So Vickie, we have a few minutes left. I have a couple fun questions for you. Pandemic, and it's been a unique creative time for a lot of us. So what 3 art tools, resources, art things have you found the most useful this past year that you want to take with you into whatever is next?
The tools, you mean like?
It doesn't have to be. It could be a tool, it could be a technique, it could be a book. Three things in the art realm that you would take with you into the next pandemic.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely my computer to stay online with people. And my rolled canvas, because I have been doing all kinds of painting, and there's only so much, as you can see, there's only so much room that you have. So it would definitely be rolled canvas that I would take. And I would want to have a big warehouse, just so that I can really, so that's 3.
How to place technology in your raw canvas. That's awesome.
Right.
It's fun. And if you have a neighbor that can come in and paint with you every once in a while, he's even good too. So last question, Vickie. What's one thing you'd like us to know about you that we may not know? Something surprising about you?
Well, all right. When I was 19, little history. When I was 19, I've always been really kind of an adventurous person. When I was 19, I moved out to California with $300 in my pocket.
Wow.
And stayed with relatives first until I could get on my feet a little bit. This was back in the day when I was 19, years ago. And loved it, lived there for 8 years, worked at Disneyland, used to draw. I used to take my sketchbook out and draw the castle. I've got drawings, all kinds of things, every little detail. Now when I paint, I don't do that. I mean, I can, but I just choose not to. So that's, if you look at my work now, you think, oh, she could never draw anything, but I really can. So that's something people don't know. That's
fun. I think most abstract painters have come from the realistic world and have morphed through their career to abstract expressionism. It's a fun development. A fun place.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So everyone watching, I know Vickie has inspired me to go create and paint, to get back in the studio and do some more beautiful work. I hope you've been inspired too. Share in your comments what you're working on. If you have questions for Vickie or me, share those too, and we will get back to you right away. So Vickie, thanks so much for chatting.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
I know, it's so exciting. So this has been Beverly Todd and Vicki Marsango for Inside the Artist Studio. Now, get off the computer and go create.